Skies over the South China Sea once again became the stage for rising tensions between the world's two largest military powers. In an incident that immediately captured the attention of the global defense community, a Chinese J-11 fighter jet carried out an extremely aggressive intercept of a U.S. Air Force B-52 strategic bomber. According to the Pentagon, the fighter is close to within just 10 feet, roughly 3 meters of the bomber, an extraordinarily dangerous distance for two military aircraft traveling at high speed.
The encounter quickly became international news and was described as one of the most hazardous aerial intercepts of the year. A single miscalculation could have resulted in a mid-air collision, potentially triggering a much larger diplomatic and military crisis. Yet behind the dramatic maneuvering lies another story that is rarely discussed. Rather than simply avoiding a collision, the B-52 crew reportedly used every second of the encounter to collect valuable electronic intelligence on the Chinese fighter. 52 Stratofortress bombers were conducting what the United States described as a routine mission in international airspace over the South China Sea. Flights like these are part of America's long-standing effort to demonstrate its commitment to freedom of navigation and freedom of overflight in the Indo-Pacific region. Weather conditions were relatively clear, but darkness significantly reduced visual awareness. The bomber crews relied heavily on radar systems, electronic sensors, secure communications, and years of training in nighttime flight operations. As the aircraft entered a particular sector of the South China Sea, electronic warning indicators began detecting unfamiliar radar emissions. The crews immediately realized they were being tracked by a rapidly approaching fighter aircraft. Moments later, the Chinese J-11 emerged from the darkness. Instead of maintaining what the United States considers a safe interception distance, the fighter aggressively closed in on the bombers. According to the Pentagon, the J-11 repeatedly crossed directly in front of one B-52 at extremely close range. During one of the passes, the aircraft reportedly came within approximately 10 feet of the bomber's wing. At speeds of hundreds of miles per hour, such a narrow separation leaves virtually no room for error. Even a slight gust of turbulence or a small change in flight path could have produced catastrophic consequences. For the B-52 crew, the priority was not only to keep the aircraft stable, but also to respond professionally without escalating the situation. What made the encounter particularly controversial was the fighter's reported flight pattern. According to U.S. officials, the J-11 repeatedly positioned itself in ways that created unnecessary risks. Flying too close to a large aircraft like the B-52 can generate aerodynamic disturbances that affect flight stability. In addition to several close passes, the fighter reportedly maintained an unusually tight formation before making abrupt direction changes and repeatedly crossing the bomber's flight path. Each of these maneuvers significantly increased the possibility of an accidental collision. Despite the intense pressure, the bomber crew reportedly avoided any aggressive response. Rather than making sudden evasive maneuvers, the pilots maintained a stable flight path while following established safety procedures. This disciplined approach proved critical, as any abrupt movement could have increased the likelihood of a collision. Meanwhile, inside the bomber, the electronic warfare officers focused on monitoring every electronic signal transmitted by the approaching fighter. Throughout the encounter, the bomber's electronic surveillance systems continuously recorded electromagnetic emissions from the J-11. Radar warning receivers monitored when the fighter's radar became active, the frequencies being used, changes in operating modes, and other electronic characteristics.
At the same time, electronic support systems helped create a broader picture of the surrounding airspace by identifying and tracking nearby emitters. All of this information was automatically recorded for detailed intelligence analysis after the mission. Because two bombers were flying together, each aircraft observed the fighter from a different angle. Using tactical data links, the information collected by both aircraft could be combined into a much more accurate three-dimensional picture of the fighter's location and movement than either aircraft could produce independently. This cooperative sensing allowed the crews to estimate the fighter's future maneuvers, even when visual contact became limited. Such sensor fusion has become a fundamental feature of modern air operations, where information sharing is often just as important as aircraft performance. One question raised by many observers is why the B-52 crews reportedly did not activate their electronic jamming systems during the dangerous intercept. The answer likely involves operational considerations. While electronic jamming can reduce an opponent's sensor effectiveness, activating those systems may also reveal valuable information about one's own electronic warfare capabilities. During peacetime or non-combat encounters, military crews often prefer passive intelligence collection over exposing sensitive defensive technologies.